The signal is deliberate. The signal is one of, if anybody else within the EU decides to do something similar to Viktor Orbán, well, we as the EU are just letting all of our, we're letting our 27 member states know. We're making them aware that Viktor Orbán's legislation was actually, holy Jesus, unprecedented finding. The EU woke up this week and had an unprecedented finding. The EU realized that Viktor Orbán's legislation, well, bejesus, it was actually infringing upon Article 2 of the treaty. It was actually, we just figured it out this week. The legislation was passed back in 2021, wasn't it? Viktor Orbán passed this back in 2021. It's not as if the EU didn't have the heads up. But this week, or in the last few weeks, but Jesus, the European Court of Justice, it just had an investigation and an unprecedented finding was revealed. You know what that unprecedented finding was? This legislation was actually breaching our values. And what happens, folks, when you breach EU values? What happens when you infringe upon Article 2 of the treaty? Is it a leap then to say that, if you're infringing this common code among EU states, is it possible that you might be brought before the European Court of Justice? Might you have to explain yourself before the European Court of Justice? Might you find yourself in some legal trouble if you decided from this point onwards, after the EU sends out its big, undeniable signal of support for LGBTQ rights, tranny rights, might it be possible that if the next up-and-coming Viktor Orbán in one of these other 26, excluding Hungary, one of these other 26 EU member states, if a new Viktor Orbán decides to rise up, might it be possible that from this point onwards, that person might have to answer to the European Court of Justice? Might that person find themselves in a bit of legal trouble? Is that a leap?